Hello and welcome to the second play session, the third actual session of Dune Adventures of the Imperium. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and I am the game facilitator. And this session is part of the Gauntlet Gaming community, the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar, which you can find out more about at gauntlet-rpg.com. It is an online gaming community that does we're averaging between 100 and 120 sessions a month right now. And all our sessions follow our code of conduct and also require the use of safety tools. And we have a variety of games, a lot of story games, a lot of indie games. Some of these games that are on the border are trendy or tradindle, however you want to call that. And we also have some OSR from time to time. So we've got a pretty decent variety on there. Our characters are part of a house that at the same time as Arrakis is being taken over by the Atreides, their house is moving to a new planet, and that is where we're taking up sort of in parallel with those events going on at the same time. Real quick here, our lines and veils are as follows. Hard lines on homophobia, sexual assault, and torture. We have veils on eye injuries and harm to children. And we also have an ask first on PC betrayal. If anything hits you that falls outside of that, again, the X card is available, as is our open door policy. So let's meet our characters here, and I will tick one over, and we will start this time with Hayden Byrne. Harry, can you please introduce yourself, your character, give us pronouns, and a quick elevator pitch.
I'm Harry Coins, he, him. I'm playing Hayden Byrne, he, him as well. I'm in the Spy Master's pay. I'm the sneaky guy. I'm the guy that nobody knows is in the corner. And I don't know, maybe he gets a little bit more emotional development down the road here. I don't know. We'll see.
And of course, the big thing is that you've come from this planet, and that last time we saw some echoes of that, in particular, your father's name popping up. So that's on the table.
Yeah, it's a homecoming.
Excellent. That then moves us one over to Fraser.
Hello. My character's name is Stahl, he, him, pronouns, just like for myself as a player. Stahl is an advisor pollinator who's all about precipitating the religion going off into far-flung corners to bring people back and test the core philosophy that the house is sort of oriented around. And he has a religious astrolabe.
A religiolabe, if you will, as you have written there.
Yes, not a lab, a labe.
And last time you put a request in for game design from the psychotheologians, and they are working on that. But so hopefully by the time you get back, they will have come up with something for you.
Yeah, they definitely hate me.
Yeah, they seem fine. And then that brings us to wrap around to Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon. He. My character is Seraphina Veer, she, who is a deputy in the Marshal's service, so in the service of the law and the Duke's system of justice. Seraphina is a Marduk-trained empath, which means that she has had extensive training in going into, among other things, going into a rapport state with someone that she is talking with. And from the cues in their voice and their body language and their speech, actually feeling what they're feeling. She does this in the service of justice to understand people's motives and to try to discern truth from falsehood And the tattoos on her face show her devotion to truth and understanding. She has never knowingly lied, although she has often failed to answer difficult questions.
Excellent. And you established a trait last time, basically sending the word out that that Anthea is sending an empath in the Marduk school. So that's a trait that you can call on for your interactions. If you're looking for a particular person named Mulav, who has headed to the city that you are headed to.
My asset is a flame crystal on a pendant, which glows softly in contact with body heat, and it is a relic from the Marduk Academy. I also have a ring, which was a sort of love gift from the Lunar Festival off-world, but that is more of a cherished keepsake rather than a significant item.
Okay. Then that brings us to Danielle.
Yes, I'm Danielle, pronoun she, her, and I'm playing Ismina Corrigan, who goes by the same pronouns. And she is a sword master in training, kind of like a bodyguard, a general bodyguard of the house and protector in training, whose family is somewhat new to this house, having sought refuge there, fleeing from another house. And I think she's a little nervous about wanting this mission to go well, to help prove herself even more, I think, to the Duke and consort, who she is very devoted to both of them, I believe, wants to be able to prove herself, and kind of finds herself on the shadowy side of the of our mission of truth often, to make sure that things go well and people are safe. So is very much down to root out whatever opposition we may run across.
Excellent. And you've been tasked with kind of looking over this place that you're going to look at the defenses, and you were gifted with that Book of the Rock last time to aid you in that. Now, a couple of things. Everyone except for Seraphina will start with one determination. It always resets at the beginning of each session. You can gain determination if you sort of, against your best interests, go along with a drive statement when it wouldn't like help you. Essentially, if you have to do the bad thing that you don't want to do to go along with your drive statement, that's a way to get determination. That's one of those things that I'll offer you. It's a little bit like a compel in Fate, and you can decline that. Seraphina starts with 2 from one of their talents, I believe. Determination can be used when you make a roll, and your drive statement is of the drive that you use is in alignment with what you're doing. Then you have the opportunity to spend determination after you roll to re-roll any of your dice that you want. So it's a rarer resource, but has some potency. The other resource we have as a group is momentum, which we will track there. I want to make a note of something based on my experience with 2D20 and how I run. So momentum is gained whenever you get extra successes. You can spend them immediately on your action, or you can put them in the group pool. The maximum that can go into that pool is 6. In standard 2D20, they have that momentum tick down by 1 after every scene. My average rolls per session, I think, are much less than a standard trad game would do it. So I tend to not tick that down, or I tick it down like at one of the breaks. But generally it's going to stay there. The other resource you will note that I have is threat, which I can use to increase the threat of enemies. I can use it to essentially cause hard moves. I can spend it to increase the potency of an attack. I start with threat equal to the number of players, which is 4. And then the only way I gain threat is if you have no momentum, but you would like to do something that costs momentum, you can always opt to give me threat and do the momentum thing. Like, for example, let's say you have no momentum and you're about to be taken out. Well, normally you can spend 2 momentum to keep yourself from getting KO'd. You could just give me 2 threat, and that cost will certainly not harm you in the long run. So just putting that out there. Let's talk about ambition. Maybe you have a sense of what it is. Maybe you don't. But let's consider that. What is Hayden's highest drive? Which one is their key drive?
I think I took truth as my highest. Yeah.
Okay.
My character's ambition pretty much is to find where they belong in the universe. Even though House Anthere's, saved my life or anything like that, I still haven't taken the full step of being, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. All is right. So coming back and dealing with the business here at home, that might set him on what he's looking for. My own truth.
Great. Yeah, I like that. So finding your place in the world, comma, in House Anthere, that uncertainty, and trying to come to a decision on that. And I think we saw a little bit of that in your interaction with your mentor last time, certainly with your sort of negativity about coming back, and they kind of Cardano pushing back on that a little bit. Okay. Tell me, what is Stahl's highest drive?
I've got faith is an 8. Philosophy is a sharp blade.
And what is your ambition?
Is it better if it's like tailored to the scenario sort of that we're in, or?
Yeah, you can modify it to the scenario in. It is something you can change from session to session. It is one of the ways. I will probably be like handing out some advancement points as we go along, rather than sticking to the trad thing of the ways that you get advancement points. But it is one of the ways in a long-term play that you would be getting more advancement points is if you took steps towards fulfilling an ambition.
Okay. Maybe to decouple the populace from the existing belief system?
Ooh, interesting. I like that a lot.
Oh, and I also have a talent I wanted to tell you about, because it's pretty much in your court. I can't do anything if you don't do anything about it. I have hidden motives. So when an opponent fails in understand or communicate test against you, you may immediately create a trait which reflects a mistaken belief they have about you.
Interesting. So we'll make sure we'll kind of try and tag and check in on that when you're talking to someone one-on-one, interacting in a social situation.
So normally it sounds like this game would be like lots of skill checks. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, certainly the GM is also making checks and generating a difficulty there, and they do definitely have a little more granularity to things. So there are more checks happening in this. It's a little bit less than it is, say, in the Star Trek game or the Conan game, because they've abstracted a lot more. But it's still more rolls. I don't call for as many rolls as I think they expect. So yeah. There we go. But yeah, we will check in on that. That brings us back to Serafina. Serafina, which is your highest drive?
My highest drive is truth, although duty is close behind. And my truth statement is the truth will set you free.
And what is Serafina's ambition?
Serafina's ambition is, I think, that House Anthier acquire a reputation for, what is the word, integrity.
That idea of honor, integrity, of reliability is a strong weapon in the house, in amongst the houses.
Yes.
And
in other words, especially in alliance, it is, we're in a universe where alliances shift and move, and Anthier will, of course, do what it was best for the Duke will, of course, do what is best for the house. But I desire that they have a reputation for being a good ally.
Interesting. I like that. That brings us, last but not least, to Ismena. What is your highest drive?
Her highest drive is justice. And I think the next is duty. I think that kind of represents that she is leading into that principle. If she can't commit to telling the truth all the time, at least she can commit to trying to make sure that making things right, trying to make sure that right is done, or that wrong is stopped. And I think that her greatest ambition, I think, is to snuff out these threats to the family, and or kind of like find her place in the house as well. Yeah, I'm kind of flexible on that. I think that one of the traits that I put down is loyal to people over principles. So I think that it's very tied to these personalities as well. So room to kind of probably change. I think maybe, and because there's a lot of facial tattoos, like facial markings. It would be cool if that's kind of like a sign of either something like something really good you've done for the house or something like that. I don't think Ismena has any, and I think that she would like to acquire some or become worthy of that at some point.
It's interesting. There's a lot of talk about the house on a couple of levels. There's sort of the house and the greater level of the idea of the house of House Anthier, its reputation, how it spreads, its philosophy, and then the idea of the house at the individual level that you and Hayden about people and identity and life there. So interesting contrasts. To remind you of where we're at, the house took over the planet of Birindar last time. This was a planet that had been held by another house, Cameron, which had fled to the outer reaches, and for the last 5 years has been under the control of the Imperial forces. It is an industrial planet, but also has some hazards from some old gravatic experiments that exist here. You arrived last time, kind of checked out the situation. We established some things about the weather on the planet, some of the dangers that are here. You explored out, and then you met with the Duke, who tasked the four of you to go to a city towards the north called Sakanagan. And Sakanagan is kind of a hive of scum and villainy, or at least a dangerous point on the planet. And you were tasked with a few things. Going and seeing what's going on with the infrastructure there in Sacknagan, keeping an eye out for both the smugglers and the people from off-world that are stripping resources and machinery and things, finding out how to stop and or co-opt those forces, winning the hearts and minds of the locals, discovering what's happening with any kind of rebellion or foreign agents or agents of other houses that are going on there, and also see to the defenses of the city. Make sure that it is reasonably defended, or could be. You know that it is a city that is closer to some of these gravatic anomalies, which means that it is subject to more of the storms, and transmissions in and out are a little more difficult. So we are taking up with essentially the shot of the four of you coming in on Ornithopter. You will have a House Anthier agents there locally who will meet you, and then you can decide how you want to go out identity-wise and so on. But as we come in, as we see, someone has done a lovely matte painting for the background, and then we've got some CG animation in it. The flaps of the ornithopter, which looks like a great dragonfly, always in my mind, even though that's probably not what they actually look like in Dune. But we see that. Tell me, Hayden, what is, as we can kind of see the city on the horizon coming into it, what is the on-screen visual that maybe indicates in the distance something weird with the gravity that we talked about, those gravity accidents, those gravity things? What do we see? Is it a color? Is it a warping? Is it a storm? What do we see?
The way I kind of picture it is that we're coming in probably as it's dusk, changing from night to day. I think it would affect a lot of the wildlife. So you'll see big swarms of birds or bats or whatever it is for this planet coming in great swaths. In fact, the pilots actually might have to, do some dipping and diving because it's just, the gravity wells are just messing up the entire animal.
Yeah, the pilot will say, well, we've heard that the ecosystem is just around these spots is just devastated. There are a few animals that have adapted, but a lot that haven't. There are a few on the ground scavengers that pick up the beasts that get caught too much in these things. As you're coming in, before we get to the sort of the big industrial city, what is the terrain that we're going over, Fraser? What do we see on the ground?
Vermilion fields.
Of what?
Some kind of flower, but maybe there's some kind of like weird bee creatures that are like nesting inside of it that give it like one flare of contrast color. Maybe not yellow, but something that contrasts well. Blue, maybe.
Yeah, we can see that, and we can see that maybe even there's no wind, but there is that gravity flow, and so maybe we see the equivalent of that, the wind going across those fields. Not a lot of agriculture here. This is a plant that takes over in lots of different places around here, and they still really haven't found a good use for it. Blue jackets. Serafina, when we do start to finally approach the city, what are the kind of industrial signs that we see? Is it big factories? Is it arenas? Is it workhouses? What are we seeing on the ground that kind of tells us what's going on here, construction and industry wise in this place.
We see a geothermal tap.
Hmm.
So there's basically one very obvious power plant building, with then high tension lines that are go to the four corners of the area.
So it's kind of at the center of this, and then that kind of spider webs out.
To necessity, it can't be too close to the inhabited area, so it's off to one side.
Okay.
But the industrial area does cluster around it. For safety's sake, you don't want a volcanic tap too close to habitations. But the workers of necessity live near there. But most of the city is built at a slight remove.
And as we are moving in, Danielle, there is a scar on the city, some kind of damage, something that we see there, explosion, fire, collapse, whatever. What is it that we see that kind of marks something that has happened here?
I think we probably see in the center, like with some kind of old, like it used to, you can tell that there used to be residential around it, and now it's kind of like layers of dead area, and like it's somewhat away. It looks like a failed one of those gravity well / one of those places where they were manufacturing that kind of gravity equipment, and there's some kind of either force field around it or some kind of like containment situation that looks kind of old as well and sort of precarious.
Yeah. So shield generators. And in fact, you're a little bit surprised because there ought to be shield generators on the city itself, is out there, external protection, but you're not seeing any of those. That's the only place where you're seeing the glint of the amber colored light of those shield generators are around that place. And even from here, you can tell that those are not in great shape. And it's the first time you go wondering, okay, what's the interaction between like the grav field and a shield? We know that a las gun in a shield creates an atomic explosion, so we don't want that. But we haven't established what the gravity interaction is. The ornithopter will come in quietly off from a lot of visual range. As it does, you're kind of assessing, and it looks like flying vessels, things like that, can pretty much come and go from this city unregulated. There's no starport, there's no spaceport here, but there are pads and things like that scattered all over the place. I guess that's very, very decentralized. But the ship will land, will come down, and as the four of you roll out, there's a small group of House Anthea agents who will come over to where you're at and ask you to follow them. And we'll say we've secured a safe house for you. We weren't entirely sure whether you were coming in publicly or you were coming in undercover, but it's a ways off the beaten path. There is a council's house here for that has been established for House Anthea. We don't have it staffed yet, but if you wish to make a public presentation and present yourselves that way, certainly you can do that. And the leader of this group will say, is there anything that any of you need right now before we take you to the safe house? And we'll look around and we'll say, all right. And we'll walk you a few blocks away through the streets. This city is run down. The sidewalks are cracked. The streets are in bad shape. It is not overpopulated. In fact, it just does seem to you like a lot of the places and buildings here are abandoned. And what is, Harry, what is the, for example, where I live, it's squirrels. When I lived in Cairo, it was ferrets. What is the small beast we see on the street that clearly has taken over?
I would say it's kind of like a mixed analog of a rabbit and an armadillo.
Okay.
If they
So
they breed fast, they got some armor, and they make a nuisance of themselves everywhere.
yeah, you can see they definitely nest at various levels. They chew plastic and then secrete that into little nests and things. So you'll see those scampering along the various avenues. Rabadillo. Okay, I'm going with that. So you'll be set up at this safe house. They put their handful of people around in the area to keep watch, to provide security for you, and they have one or two people that can essentially run errands as you need to. And I think this is the first time you've kind of been packed on the flyer. It's the first time you've had a chance to kind of get a little room, a little space out, come to what is clearly the place in the safe house that is set up with a singular table with a number of chairs around. You can check the sniffers to make sure that there's no assassination devices or obvious listening devices in here. And the four of you can talk about how you plan to proceed. So let's, I don't think Hayden would necessarily start the conversation, but Stahl, what are you saying when the camera comes in?
Probably, I'm unclear as to what role I would take in this operation.
Well, I think Ismina is like, well, if this city is ripe to hear our house's message, it makes sense for you to lead a sort of public forum while, and I think she kind of gestures to Hayden, the rest of us, some of us can kind of scout and check out the city and the defenses, while you are, creating a spectacle. It doesn't look like these people have had much fun or many new things that have come to town in a while.
We all know that the true strength of the house is its faith. But so we will be, you will, what you bring is the most important of what we have. The rest of us are here to try to prepare the people of Sagnaken to hear what you have to say, to find the problems and to involve the house in their solution to intercalate Anthea into the workings of this place and gain allies. But the whole purpose of it is to hear the message of the faith, because that is what is going to bind everyone here together, assuming that we are able to succeed.
At a player level, aren't we here to like knife some smugglers or something?
That is one of the tasks that is on the table. You actually have a handful of tasks, and you can decide
we have
prioritize.
But these are many of the things that we have that have been given us to us as possible avenues are means to the same end, which is to bring this city under the house's aegis, to make allies. But what is the purpose of all of that? It's to make the house stronger. And what's our greatest tool there is changing people's minds and their ways of thinking from the likely short term that they have been engaged in to what we bring. And so you are the essence of why we are here. The rest of us are preparing the ground for you, to my way of thought.
Yes. Also, we're already on a clock. I mean, it's no offense to House Anthir's skill in the field, but if I know my people, then we probably got about an hour and a half before, we're known to be here. I do like the idea of having the stall being used as a font, or as Ismina put it, as a diversion or something to draw people out.
If they know we're going to be here, we might as well say we're here and then not say what else we're doing.
Yes. What I'd say is that probably the preacher boy, a couple of the troopers. I don't know if Serafina, I don't know if you have any talents such as, staying hidden or changing the way you look, or I'm not sure. But if we use him basically as a stalking horse, use the council house, make it known, pretty quickly that he's coming in and that he's going to be making a public announcement, maybe even on the steps of the forum or something along those lines. Then I would suggest Ismina and myself be hidden in the crowd just to see who's going to pop out and take a shot at you, because I can guarantee you somebody's going to.
Stahl, what's your take on this here?
I trust you completely to provide protection, since you know the locals. You'll be able to spot the people who are going to take a shot at me.
There are others that I must get in contact with. It's not merely knowing our enemies, which is going to be critical here, but knowing and establishing our friends. And right now, we have a rare opportunity to establish ourselves as allies to some of the people here, and we must grasp it quickly.
And Squash, if they're going to be allies, we need to make sure that the opposition is stopped before they know that they can be friends, hopefully.
So one of the questions there in the chat is to what are our goals? So our goals are to check out the infrastructure, figure out what the status of the city is, kind of get the general knowledge. 2, we know that there are smugglers and salvagers. Ideally, you would like to figure out how to stop and or co-opt them, but just getting information is useful. Generally, winning the hearts and minds of the populace is on the table. Seeing to the defenses of the city, making sure that if this useful city comes under a House Anthir control, it can be defended and it can be held. And lastly, there have been rumors about some rebellion, about some agents working to undermine the house present here, likely from another house, or sleeper agents, things like that. So discovering what's going on with that is another goal. So may I suggest that let's start with like what Stahl's going to do in terms of the sort of the public forums with Hayden and Esmina kind of backing you up, depending on what you do. Then let's come to Serafina, and then we'll kind of come to Hayden and Esmina's kind of once around on that, kind of do a once of kind of setup and check-ins and such. Does that sound okay?
It does, although I might desire to have Esmina come with me if that were possible.
Sure. Yeah.
I have, the mark of truth isn't going to protect me from an assassin. And while I have made the knowledge of my presence here I deliberately spread the knowledge of my presence here, or the fact that I was coming, in order to intrigue certain elements here. That also makes me a target, and I can conceal myself moderately well, but I'm not likely to win a knife fight.
By the Imperials or just other people, just opposition to Anthir?
We know that there are people from
Zerat?
Yes, here, fomenting trouble, and there may well be others who will reflexly desire to keep Anthir out. I suspect that most of the latter will wait to size us up before taking precipitate action, but you never know. There are hotheads. Certainly the Zerat will attempt to nip any efforts that we have in the bud, and I don't have illusions about my abilities in that regard.
What do you think, Esmina? Do you want to go along? Do we do pair on that, or would you prefer to still shadow Stahl? What do you think?
I think that she probably wants to get the scope of Stahl, but doesn't mind. Is the fact that of him being a diversion means that she can kind of go elsewhere. She just kind of needs to go around the city. So I figure that she'll check in with Hayden and like figure out what he's doing, and he can report back there, in a different way. But if they split up, then they can cover more ground anyway. So she doesn't mind going with Serafina and just sort of keeping her eye out on the city.
Yeah. So each one of you basically gets a bodyguard. I'll bodyguard Stahl, close by him, and you stay close by Serafina. We stay in contact. First of all, everybody should probably change their clothes, get something that looks local. Hey, and I just point to one of the agents as we're walking by.
Yes.
Yeah. Have all your guys take your clothes off and give them to us. Because they would have had to have changed clothes so they don't stick out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
So they've probably already got the local color down. So get them moving, get them going.
They'll get a changes of clothes for you, blending in with the local colors, local materials. Essentially, mostly it's based on what the people have had access to for the last 5 years, which is not much. So it is a lot of clothing that has been restitched and re-repaired and so on.
And I was gonna say I'd even add a tear or two in each of your outfits or something like that. Throw some dirt on it, and just don't quite act as like you usually do around the palace and such back in the home planet. You need to blend in a little bit.
Esmina kind of looks a little like out of sorts, because she's like, yeah, I can fight things, but usually I want them to know who they're fighting. Like that's you. But she's like, all right, let's do it, and adds another tear, and then it probably tears too much, and now she's like, okay.
So let's do the first of our two paired scenes. Fraser's scene with Hayden backing up, and then Serafina with his Mina backing up, and then we'll flip the script and switch around on leads here in a second. So Stall, what is it you want to? What do you want to do? How do you want to approach this?
I have an idea again, as I
Okay.
always do. What about having a form where instead of me dictating what Anthea is like and trying to ingratiate myself, it's a form where I just listen to them, but I control the conversation. So I like point to who is speaking next, and I think that would aggravate the people that want to hurt me even more, while facilitating the people that want to speak to me even
Yeah.
more so.
A town hall.
Yeah. Except that just a listening hall.
Yeah.
So I think the step one to that is you going to essentially the main hall, announcing yourself and trying to find who you need to talk to get that arranged, right?
Yeah, maybe we could offer like food or drink or something, some kind of enticement to come.
Well, I would suggest, giving some coin to a few of the agents and tell them to go, a block and a half that way. Tell each street kid that you see, give them a coin and tell them what's about to happen. And the news will spread like wildfire even faster as we're on our way to the council building. Because I think we should do it right on the council buildings, like, front steps.
So this is about a certain kind of communication and spreading of ideas here. Stall, what do you want to roll that with? Let's do it. Let's do a check to kind of overcome and set this up.
So start with a drive, right? First?
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm trying to win them over with maybe morality should stem from truth.
So truth is your drive?
I think so.
Okay. And then what do you think? This feels like communicate is the skill to me. Does that seem right?
Yeah, and I have composure focus, is it, or whatever?
Yeah, I think if you were talking one-on-one to people but I'm not sure that necessarily applies here as you're kind of spreading the word.
Sure. Maybe when I'm actually having the conversation.
Yeah. But so right now you're at a 13.
Okay.
We're going to say difficulty 1, and you can spend extra successes for doing a greater effect.
Mm-hmm.
And you're rolling 2d20 and trying to roll a 13 or below.
I got a 10 and an 8.
10 and 8, so that's 2 successes.
Truly my game.
Yeah. So you've got 1 momentum. Do you want to spend that to increase the range of effect of this? Or do you want to put that momentum into the pool?
Interesting. So more people would come, essentially? Yeah. Well, yeah, I might as well do that, I guess.
Okay. So I think by the time you get to this hall that has been cleaned and set up, it has a little bit of a, how do I put this, a kind of prison complex look to it, because it was where the previous administration was housed, but it's been cleared, and the people that have come through, and people have known that something was coming because they've been restoring this building and so on. And so by the time that you get to there, there's a group of 30 or 40 people that have gathered. Coin is out. They've heard there might be food. Looks like shopkeepers, some people, maybe guildsmen that have arrived here to find out what is going on. You can pick out that there are certainly a few of the local leadership. No one is coming forward like to introduce themselves or anything like that, because they're very nervous about what's coming, keeping in mind that they've been subject to imperial roundups prior to this. So Hayden, as this group gathers, what are you doing?
I'm going to be basically melding into the crowd, and keeping an eye on, especially the leadership, because any type of roustabouts, sizing up of where the people stand in, in relation to the council building is kind of like seeing which power groups, like which clan is in command is what I'm looking for. And usually the strongest clan will be the one that's going to try and make a move. But, I'm also keeping an eye on for any stragglers or anything like that. But I just keep moving through the crowd.
What do you think is the appropriate combination of drive and skill for doing this discover action, for doing this analysis of the situation?
Let's see here. I guess would it be understand or?
That works. And
Okay.
and what drive do you think is here with that?
I'm gonna use my can I use the power drive, because I'm trying to recognize who's the representing the strongest,
Yeah.
or something along those lines.
So that's what, a 4 and a 7, so 11 or less.
Yeah, that's an 11.
So roll 2d20. Again, we'll
All
set the difficulty at 1.
And that is 2 and an 18, so that's just a 1.
Just one success. So I will give you one question that you can ask. What is the one thing you want to know, or one person you want to identify, or one group you want to identify here? What do you want to know?
I want to know who in the crowd is scaring the most of the scariest one to the locals. Like which one is getting the most deference.
There is definitely a figure that, after a suitable number of people have arrived, this guy comes out. He has bodyguards. They fly casual. They stay a ways away, so they're not obvious. But people don't meet his eyes. But he keeps himself back towards the back corner of the open area that you're at, so he can keep an eye on who's here. He can hear what's going on, and definitely make judgments. He definitely feels like a senior person from one of the gangs, which we're calling clans here. And you will be able to pick up a name from that, and he is identified as Isar. The die is cast.
Okay. So then I'm just, when I see that, I'm just going to make sure that I'm as close to him as possible without his bodyguards, getting their hair completely up and their hackles up.
Okay. So let's do the setup for the Serafina Esmina scene then, and we'll come back to the actual talk in a second. Serafina, what is your goal, and how are you going about doing that?
My goal is to have a meeting with Mulaf, and to speak truth.
Okay. So right now, you are trying to track down Mulaf. You're trying to track him down and make arrangements for the meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, a suitable ground,
And you've got the trait that you established. So I would say normally this would be a difficulty 2, but with the trait that you established last time, we'll take that difficulty down to 1 to arrange this meeting. What do you think is the appropriate skill?
I think the appropriate skill is communicate, and perhaps social awareness will come into play.
That seems fair. And the drive?
And the drive here is a duty.
Okay. So that's a 14. And with the focus being in play, that means that 7 or less will get you 2 successes as opposed to 1.
Okay. And
Look at that. That's
successes.
4 successes. So right now, you've got 3 momentum. You could drop that in the group pool. You could spend 2 of that to like add a trait to the scene. You could spend points to ask questions before we go into this setup.
I'm going to create a trait.
Okay. What is
And
the trait you want on this scene?
The trait is let's see, I'm trying to think how to name it, but it's essentially that 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 we're not the Imperium, that this is a genuine meeting to try to find common ground, that this is in other words that so I'll say the trait that my reputation precedes me.
Okay.
Or the
Yeah.
reputation of the Marduk school precedes me. And so this, at least the meeting is an honest meeting. It isn't.
Yeah, I think you'll find, you ask around, you ask for where are the trustworthy, common houses or things like that. You make that clear. You establish a place that has room. You put the word out. You make it clear that it is just you and another, and that the Imperium are gone, and word will come back that you are to go to the place, and Mulav will come when they are prepared to speak with you.
And so that leaves me with 1 momentum to put to the pool. Yes, I'm sorry, you were saying?
Yeah. So yeah, you can drop that momentum into the pool, raise it up to 2. Ismena, Seraphina's getting this meeting arranged, talking to people, all of that. Once the meeting place is set, or even before that, what is it that you want to be doing?
I think that she wants to survey the area, get information about, what she can see of the defenses. I know that Mulav he's the former Imperial commander in our city, right? Or no?
He is the guy who was causing problems for the Imperium. He was the one organizing the locals.
Oh, okay. I got his name confused with the thing. Okay. Yeah, I think she wants to set up. So Seraphina is going to be setting up to communicate and be very truthful and try and suss out motives and things like that. I think Ismena wants to set up to communicate to kind of someone who has led an insurrection that yes, there might be the velvet glove, but there's a steel inside to that. So I kind of think that she wants to sort of scan the area for sure. But then whether it's in how she's positioning herself or the weapon that she has out, I think that she kind of wants to send that message.
Okay. Let's start with the first half of that, of surveying the area. Let's get, what do you think is the appropriate drive and skill for making things secure, checking out the area, all of that?
I mean, I think she's acting as her duty to kind of keep people safe, in order especially to keep Seraphina safe and the house. And then it's probably another understand, because that's the discern details about a situation, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably should switch a few of my skills around.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So duty and understanding, so that's a 12.
Okay. Actually, I shouldn't take a point from move, because it would be bad if I tripped in a really important moment. Okay.
These are the difficult decisions.
Exactly. Okay, so it's rolling under a 12, and would I use
12 or under, and you're going to roll 2d20.
Okay.
You can spend a
Oh, I
momentum if you want to add a d20.
Right. I could also do that. I may save that for
Okay.
the thing. So I'm just gonna roll the 9 and a 7.
9 and 7, so that's 2 successes. So I think you'll be able to make sure where the location is, make sure that there are no traps there, make sure that there's, nobody in the room itself or anything like that. Check that out. You've got 1 extra success. You could use that to ask a question, or you could throw that back in the momentum pool. Is there something you want to know?
Does she find what, like, it hasn't been bugged? Is there signs of, like, I guess kind of like, do we see anything of the character of this clan already here?
I think you'll be able to pick out that there are a couple of people that arrive into the area that you get the sense are Mulav's bodyguards. People watch out for him. But there are a couple other people who don't come in like from the ground level. They move up, up onto the rooftops in the area, and you get a bad feeling as you see a couple of guys. You're not sure what they're armed with, but they've positioned themselves in a way where they can't watch the meeting or anything, but you have the sense that they are there to possibly put a bullet in one or both of the parties.
Oh, great. Okay, so Ismina's feeling slightly outnumbered, which she is kicking herself for not having already anticipated that.
2 guys. You're awesome. No problem.
Oh, it's 2 guys. Okay. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. This is where we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we'll flip back and forth between those scenes to resolve both of those. Okay. All right. So let's take till a quarter after. Okay. So we take up, this group has gathered. We're going to assume that locally between everyone here, you can talk. So Seraphina can talk to Ismina can talk to Seraphina. Same thing, Stahl to Hayden. The 2 groups probably can't communicate with one another across distances, but for the moment where you're at, you can communicate locally. Stahl, now that you have this group gathered here, these people to listen to you, you kind of talked about how you want to set this up. As a like a town hall where they bring questions to you.
Yeah, so I'd like it so that they can air their grievances, and then I could like reward them when they speak to facilitate other people speaking up as well.
So let me ask you this: is your intent here in this conversation more to try to understand what's going on and what the sort of the feeling is here, or is it to like set up some traits? What's your like primary objective?
I think probably understand them before trying to apply something to them.
Okay, then let's have you make that roll. So it feels like understand.
Yes.
And I think your cultural studies definitely applies here as a focus. What drive do you think pairs with that?
Probably truth again.
Okay, yeah, I think so. So that'll be a 13.
And I have cautious as a talent, and I chose understand for the skill.
Yeah.
Can you Attempt to test using that skill.
So if you want to spend a point of momentum from the pool, you can re-roll d20s.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Maybe I do.
You're losing money not spending that.
That's true. That's true. Toss a coin to the Witcher.
Yes. So yeah, so spend momentum, go for 3d20.
Oh, 3d20, nice. So I got a 10, a 12, and a 5.
10, a 12, and a 5. So that's going to be 4 successes, right?
Oh, nice.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you a couple of the themes that you're going to pick up here, and I'll tell you what they're important, and then you're going to have 2 momentum that you can do something with or ask further questions or so on. So one of the ways that you try to read the situation is, what are the like emotional, philosophical, and maybe even mythic themes that are going on in this conversation? Trying to understand what is motivating, what is going on in the air here. And I think you're going to pick up a few themes. I'm going to tell you 2 of them. And if you want, you can spend the momentum to get more. One of the themes, it seems to be in the conversations, in the questions, is this theme of those who push too far. Like that clearly weighs on them. They're in the shadow of that gravatic failure of that thing. And that seems to be a theme about people overreaching themselves. That's a dangerous thing. Like they clearly are worried about people overextending, overreaching themselves. So that seems to be big in the conversation. The other big theme that you're going to pick up here is abandonment. That these people have been abandoned repeatedly. They were abandoned by House Cameron and just left. And then the Imperium came in, didn't do anything, and then just left. And there's just this repeated feeling of at any moment you could just leave. You could abandon, you don't have our interest at heart, because that could happen. So what do you want to do with your momentum? You could throw it back in the pool. You could use it to establish a trait. You could ask about other mythic themes.
And I have 2, right?
You have 2.
I'll put 1 in the pool.
Okay.
To pay it forward. And the other one, maybe the trait like herd.
Interesting. Okay. So for this crowd here, and for the sort of general public, we'll put that trait herd. Like they have been listened to, and they get that you have how do I put this? You have some empathy for them. Hayden, throughout this, you definitely get the sense that this guy, he doesn't think much of Stahl. And you see that like his bodyguards are kind of moving around and kind of come back, and you get the sense that they're reporting back to him, no, I don't see any guards. I think he's here on his own.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. That's cool. Well, this is what I do. What's called, I know a dangerous situation is coming up and is
Yeah.
probably coming up really quickly. So I'm gonna walk by one of the stalls or whatever, and surreptitiously, grab a piece of food like an apple or something along those lines. Toss it to about 15 foot to the right of just generally in the crowd, just to hit some random guy, just to get everybody's eyes that direction. And as soon as that happens, I walk right in between the freaking bodyguards and freaking put a knife right in the guy's eye.
Okay. Absolutely. I think that you're constantly watching talent. I think we're not even gonna have a role. I think you get that distraction, no problem. You know what's coming. You do that toss, and everyone's looking that way as suddenly there's a cantaloupe flying through the air, and it's vermilion colored because it's space cantaloupe.
Yeah.
But and then you're going to walk up. What do you think it is to walk up on this guy? I think
I think it's
battle
going to
clearly.
be, yeah, it could be battle, but I think you can use the specialties, like I have precision, and it's kind of like in my movement thing, but I think you can also
Yeah.
cross things so that I can use that focus.
Well, you can use the focus if you can do it with move.
Mm-hmm.
And make the attack with move. That's fine. And use precision to focus there. Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, because that's what I'm trying to. It's like I move quickly, boom, knife is in his eye, and then I'm going to be moving past. So
what drive is appropriate for taking this guy out?
That's a good one. I would say it's duty. What must be done must be done.
Okay.
I think that hits pretty well.
So it's a 12.
Mm-hmm.
And sixes or less will count as 2 successes. I think it's straight up difficulty level 2.
Okay.
To hit him, extra successes momentum can be spent on not having the bodyguards notice and things.
Yeah.
So let's start.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is there was momentum in the pool, and it only costs 1 to get an extra 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to spend 1 of those momentum to put me up to 3d20.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'm going to spend my determination point to make one of those d20s automatically a 1, I think.
Okay, yep,
So
you can
I
do
put
that.
An automatic 1, then I roll the other 2 dice.
Absolutely. So you're standing at 2 successes.
Yeah. And 3 and 9. So that's...
so you have 5 successes.
This is... Okay.
So the first 2 successes, he's looking like his eye is on the cantaloupe, and then it sprouts this blade.
Yeah.
It's in, it's out. We don't see any of the gore, but we definitely see his start to slump towards. 1 momentum. If you spend it, the bodyguards don't even see you. You're a shadow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an easy spend there.
Yeah. And you get 2 more.
I get 2 more.
You could ask questions. You could set up traits. You could put in the pool.
Yeah, I'm gonna set up a trait. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna set my character's trait, the second one that's about reputation or whatever. I want this event to mark his reputation, because bodyguards don't see it, but everybody else, as they turn to the guy screaming or whatever, sees me standing there, and I'm just standing right in the middle of the guards like nothing happened. And I'm going for cold-blooded. So I'm sitting there with, I pull the knife out of his head and I stare down each one of his bodyguards, just daring somebody to make a move. And
I think if you establish that cold-blooded, I think there'll be that moment where they will step back and
say, I guess your clan needs a new leader now, does it? And I'm just sitting there tense looking.
They take off.
All right. Yeah.
And the crowd's like,
I give a big thumbs up to Stahl up there.
Stahl, you look over. It was the work of a second, and then you see that Hayden is standing over the body of this guy, and no one in the crowd looks sorry that this guy is dead.
I don't even know what to say. Our house abhors violence. but we are not opposed to it when necessary, as you could see.
And the crowd, there's a moment where the crowd kind of registers that a senior person from one of the gangs, the clans, has been killed in the courtyard, and they exit stage right quite quickly. And they don't want to get questioned. They don't want to get caught. They will file out, but they definitely have a sense of what your clan can do.
And we give out gift baskets.
Of what is it? I mean, if you do head down to the crowd, what is it that you hand out?
Maybe some kind of delicacy that we had from our main planet that we
Okay.
brought with us. Maybe like, since we've got the waves hitting the cliff, maybe something fishy.
Yeah, like they don't seem to have any kind of like lakes or rivers or strong oceans or any of that kind of sea farming and stuff. So like dried fish or things like that, preserved fishes, unusual, striking thing, and then we'll thank you and then leave before more murders happen. They head out. Ismina, what
Yes.
you've got a couple of dangerous folk up on the roof. You know the meeting is
Yes.
going to happen here soon. You're not sure who they're particularly gunning for. What do you want to do?
I have an idea, and let me know if this works within the bounds of everything. I think she wants to set herself up in front of where the doorway is. And even though we're supposed to be undercover, I feel like she has like some kind of scarf or something in Anthir's colors that she makes sure to kind of show a little bit. And I'm wondering, because I just took as the third move, to fight someone is to know them, which means if you win a conflict using a skill, you gain momentum, but you can use that to obtain information or create a trait about the other enemy. And I wanted to know if I could use discipline, which is to one of the things under discipline is to compel or threaten others through presence and authority alone.
Absolutely, yeah. So mark that in on that talent, and essentially you're presenting yourself as if to say, you know, if this is the day you wish to go, this is the day you're going to die, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think she wants to kind of set in a way that like her weapon is visible and they know who she is from, where she's from.
Then what do you think is the appropriate drive to go with that?
I think it's probably still duty, because
Okay.
this is to protect. And that would make it a 15.
Yeah, roll 2d10, looking for 15s or less. A 2d20 rather.
2d20. I didn't know if we did Hayden just use up all the momentum?
There is still one momentum left.
There's still one momentum. I don't know if I want to use the put it out. I'm just gonna roll. I'm just gonna roll, and then we'll.
Well,
Snake eyes.
So
Perfect.
right now you're standing at 4 successes. Difficulty is 2, so you've got 2 bonus momentum, plus the 2 bonus momentum from your thing that you can use to spend it for particular things. So the first effect is that you stand there and they're setting up. They were like, okay, maybe there's a person we can pick off, kind of thing, and they see you set up, and that changes the tenor of the situation, and they very quickly move to withdraw. But you've got 2 momentum to gather information or create a trait here? What do you want to, I mean, obtain information, you could ask a couple of questions. Certainly,
Yeah.
oh, what do you want to do?
You said that there were two there.
Yeah.
Can I tell who they were affiliated with or who they were here to take out? Like, was it us or was it Mulav?
That's two questions.
That's
Which one do you want to know? Yeah, first for your first question.
I think I want to know who they are.
They fall back, and they fall back in a kind of paired way, one covering the other. That says to you that that's House Zerat. That they're not high level people, but they have that military training. That's the way the Zerat organizes, and there's sort of the pair cohorts that they use. Everything about it says that to you. And what's your second question?
Can I use the second piece of momentum to create intimidated for them? Does it work like that?
Yeah, I think you could. I think it would affect them and not Zerat generally.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then I mean, if it's Zerat, then I think she probably knows who they were there for.
Mhm.
But can I?
Ismena,
Yeah.
what's the matter?
I think
Your breathing pattern changed.
we had company briefly, and seems like Zerat has followed us.
Your use
But-
of the past makes me very happy that you're here.
Ismena, what do you want to use that other momentum
I
question wise?
can I tell if they seem to be reporting back to someone, if it's just the two of them, or if there seem to be others
Oh yeah, I
nearby,
think
or
that's
like
a
where
good.
they are?
They had the feeling of a couple of Zerat agents on the ground who were acting opportunity wise, which says to you that they probably had their eyes on Mulav. And it also tells you that they weren't aware that you four were coming. They haven't prepared, so you've caught them a little bit off guard. But they are definitely going to go back and say that a couple of dangerous people from House Anthir are present. Does that seem like fair answer? You've got two more momentum.
I'm gonna put them in the pool.
Put them back in the pool. All right, so pool goes up to 3.
Yeah. I think that Ismena will communicate to Seraphina, like, if that was in the past tense, but in my zeal to scare them off by letting them know who is here, I may have let them know that Anthir was present. They might not have been here for us. And she kind of like winces a bit, like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. But you're safe. I don't want it to.
You've done something very important. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't want to cloud your mind before this important meeting, so feel free to. Don't worry about this. This is what I'm here for. You go do what you do.
I have complete faith in you.
She kind of smiles and nods and yeah, acknowledges it.
And Ismena, you've had an eye on the various access ways, and you will see come in, towards one of the side doors of this establishment, a group of workers that you can tell that they are kind of surrounding somebody they're protecting, and you're pretty sure that's Mulav coming in. Seraphina, you're inside, and you'll see this group arrive. The workers kind of move and fan out. The guy in the center essentially is wearing like industrial worker hazard suit for working with the around here, the factories, the chemicals and other things. And he takes off his mask, kind of carries it, and walks over to your table and sets the helmet down, draws out the chair and sits.
I peel back my hood and I say, will you drink?
Not this day. I've been in the plant until I have a chance to decontaminate. I shouldn't drink any alcohol.
I understand. My name is Serafina Veer. You
You're
probably know that already.
You're the agent from Anthier, from
Okay.
Marduk.
That is correct.
I am surprised that you and yours have moved as quickly. I thought that your Duke would take control of the capital and we wouldn't see the presence of Anthier out here in the far places for months, if not years.
Our Duke is more far-seeing than many.
What is it that you want?
So, as the things shapes up, the question that I am going to ask with my passive scrutiny talent is, what is he hoping that I will do? Way down deep.
He is hoping that you will bring some order, that you will, like, he doesn't want cops, he doesn't want overlords, he doesn't want dictators. He's had enough of that, but he wants some sense that there are people who are managing things so that the center can hold, that this chaos isn't going to continue, this anarchy and lawlessness.
I am the Deputy Marshal of House Anthier. I bring law.
We've had law in the form of the Imperial Guard here for the last 5 years, and
So you have. I began dropping into a rapport state with him. So I am mirroring the tones of his voice to a certain degree. I am his body language. I am feeling what he feels. Striving. Yes, the Imperium. And I spit with disgust. We all know what their law is like. As long as the Imperium, as long as high imperial feathers are not ruffled, they don't care what happens to anyone else.
see, you say that, but I was here when imperial feathers were ruffled and my planet's overseers fled after stripping this planet bare to the bone. So you forgive me if I worry a little when people spit in the name of the Emperor.
Antair owes its loyalty to the Emperor, of course, as do all the houses. But our law is not imperial law. And you know that's true.
So I think, Serafina, here, you're kind of building up this rapport, trying to
Yes.
motivate him, get answers. This is, I think is generally an overcome kind of test with
Yes.
communicate. What do you think is the appropriate drive to fit with this?
He wants law, so the drive is justice.
Okay.
And yes, so this is understand or communicate. It's kind of a mixture of both.
Yeah, I think if you do communicate, you have the chance to buy the extra dice for momentum and get the benefit there. So
yes, and I will. I'm going to buy a die with momentum.
Okay.
I'm going to make it a 1.
Spend your determination
with my devotion to House Anthea.
So you get 2 more dice. You need 13s or less, and because you communicate, especially of rapport, which you've already established, your focus, 7s or less are going to count as 2 successes.
So that's 3 more successes.
3 more successes. You have 5 successes. Difficulty was a 1. So you've got 4 momentum here to spend. And I think the base effect of this is that he is interested and sympathetic. Like you've overcome his hesitation. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do with that momentum here?
I want an ally. I also get a free trait.
Yeah, I think if you want to establish that free trait as ally.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I say to him, we are here to stay. This is our home. And we prosper only if you prosper. I have been empowered to offer amnesty, and I can on my own agree to work with you in whatever way will bolster both of our factions. We need the money that the tax base may generate. You need protection and regulation. I will not fail you.
So you can add Mulav as an ally asset. If you'd like, any kind of asset that we kind of establish comes in at quality 0. You could spend a couple momentum of the 4 that you've got extra.
Yes.
To make him essentially quality 1. Which when you use him to do things, he has a higher skill, lowers difficulty in those cases. And then you still got 2 momentum hanging around.
And there's 3, and there's 2 in the pool, right? Because I spent 1.
Right now, yeah, there should be 2 in the pool, and you've got 2 right now. You could ask questions or add traits or throw it into the pool.
Well, first I'm going to ask Mulav something.
Sure.
I said, what needs done first?
And I think his answer would much what you've said is establishing visible authority, that where people can come to ask for justice, that they will not be turned away, they will not be ignored.
It will be done. Ismina, will you come and be introduced, please?
Okay, she nods and walks in and nods like Malav and looks at Serafina like, yes. Is this am I like because she's kind of like on high alert.
I have extended to Malav here an offer of alliance, and they have accepted.
Oh,
This is Malav, this is Ismina, who is the representative of our swordmaster.
So you know, he clearly knows what that means, and he nods to you.
I give Ismina a very short summary of what we have recently spoken of.
I think she nods and is like, Anthea is grateful to count you among our allies. Sokovia has not been always. It seems like it could be very hostile, and we hope this is not true of all of Birandar. I think she would. I think she would say, "Can you guarantee our safety if we were to set up, if our faith, I don't know what you're called, we don't have like cathedrals or something like that, do if we were to set up a
Temples, churches.
yeah, a kind of a presence here."
He says, "No, I can't. No, not in this city. Perhaps in the capital I could, but here, no. I had to flee here because of imperial pressure, but otherwise I would not be in this city voluntarily."
Well, then your connections in the capital will be most useful.
Serafina, did you want to ask any questions with the momentum, or do you want to put it in that pool? We got that 2 left before I cut to the next scene.
I will put it into the pool.
Okay. Raise that up to a 4. Let's do kind of another bringing together, meeting of the minds of the 4 of you before we have Hayden and Ismina kind of take leads in a couple of scenes that they call. So we return back, but when you get back to the safe house, Ismina, Serafina, there's definitely a little more liveliness and buzz on the street. Like something has happened and people are talking about it. And you will arrive back. And I assume that the 2 groups share their information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Stahl, what's your how do you think that went? You describe what happened, but how do you think things turned out?
Mostly positive. I think that it was an inadvertent positive outcome in that at least the damage inflicted wasn't by me, but they know that I was being protected. So maybe they still have positive feelings towards me, but know that the house isn't lax as well.
Mhm.
And thankfully, the person killed wasn't somebody they seemed to like. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was most likely the clan leader in the area.
I feel
And-
like we gained momentum.
Ismina looks a little bit like, and you learned that they weren't fond of this person after you killed them, and he's most not before.
Oh no, we knew before. I knew before. I was waiting, and they were going to make a move, and something had to be done. Otherwise, Stahl would have been in danger.
Wow.
And it doesn't hurt to flex your muscle on the street with this group, especially in this city. It's not the capital here.
Yes. It's clear that we need to set up a hall of justice here. And defending it is going to be something I'm going to need very much your help with. People have to be able to come up and make complaints without being intimidated and without worrying that that they're just putting targets on their backs.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And we're going to need to have enough, Ismina, we're going to need to have enough, we're going to need to have enough guardsmen to go and arrest people when we have to, without worrying that we're going to lose forces in the process.
Definitely. Also, if Sugvigan weren't enough, Zerat is here. Not just because of us, but also because of Mulav and other forces. So that's just another complicating factor that we'll have to, but at least we learned that. So it seems like the opposition is from multiple sides.
Yes, I'm very happy not to have been shot at, but I don't expect it to last.
I'm definitely going to have to move some presence of my own into this town, especially if Sarat is nosing around. I should be able to have the network up and running probably within the next week, if not sooner.
Yes, we'll need informants. Ideally, moderately reliable ones.
Maybe they can all have spiffy clothes like this too. She just gesticulates.
Let's take 5 for our second break, just a quick bio break. And when we come back, we will check in with Hayden and Ismina about their scenes, or we'll do once round. We'll work on that. So 5 minutes. So let's start with Ismina and Hayden. Figure out what you would like to do, and you can do another paired scene like you did before, or if you just want to do a scene where you're out doing something, gathering information, whatever, you can do it that way. We're good either way. Hayden, what is it that you want to be doing next?
Okay. Well, yeah, definitely getting with Ismina, because we still have to see the full array of what the infrastructure in this area is like. So the first step in building a spy network here is most likely the same thing with the that I did with the agents, which is start with the street kids and spreading out money and saying that that they should, if they haven't heard of me yet, they should ask around, and they if you hear anything, to bring it back to me. Start out small, and I would say that we should probably just take a tour of whatever infrastructure points you want to hit, like see what their main city hall looks like, if anything. I don't know. See if they have any walled defenses of any kind, something along those lines. What do you think, Ismina?
Yeah, I think she would nod along with his idea for setting up a spy network, even though she's going to kind of tug at her scarf and be like, I still think it would be best if they knew who they're dealing with, as long as somebody does.
Oh no, that's just my part.
Yeah.
You're the one who's here for showing the guard, I do believe. I mean, you're the one who should be doing that.
Yeah,
but
she's gonna, I think, just say like, well, we didn't see shield generators from the air, so I think figuring out if they have any and what kinds they have, or if there's any sort of natural things there that we can build on, or is the entire place unstable?
Yeah, and I think I should go with you on the tour, and the entire time I will act deferentially towards you. wear the house colors and everything like that, and we can spread the reputation that, you know, the guy who just knifed the guy in the middle of the street is you know, following her orders.
Well, so it seems to me we've got, let's start with Hayden's action, which feels like essentially creating an asset there, and then we'll come to his Mina's action, which feels like gathering information, discovering things. So let's start with those two. So Hayden, what do you think is appropriate for you going and building these things up?
Well, communicate, I think, is probably obvious, but I don't know if discipline could be something like that. I don't know which.
Yeah, I think based on your experience, you could certainly bring that in. This is when you're trying to resist him, to subvert, as well to suppress instincts when subjected to oppression, or to compel or threaten others through presence and authority. So if you are using the fear as a motivator for these people, then discipline is appropriate. If you're using kindness, then it's communication.
No, I'm using straight fear.
Okay.
And I think it'll probably be an extension of me flexing, basically use my power with the discipline. Let's see here.
That's it.
I don't think any focuses will take effect.
15 or less. 15. Do you want to spend momentum?
No, I'll just stick with the 2d20.
Okay.
And let's see here. And yeah, caught up 20 and a 10, so you get a complication.
So the good news is you can add an asset essentially of like urchin informants. Yeah. On there that will last for this this sort of adventure. But the bad news is that there is that moment when you are out doing this, when someone approaches you, that kind of hands out and says, "Burn, is it?"
Yes.
I bring word to you from House Haida.
Okay. Have I heard of House Haida? Is it an actual house, or is it just a clan?
It must be a clan. He says, our leader is most displeased with one of his lieutenants being dropped in the city square. But your father has said that you are to be given this one warning.
Okay, his face kind of like falls a bit. You see him just, he loses the veneer of the, what you call it, the being, cold-blooded for just a second. So if he has any skill at saying that, you'll see a little eye twitch. So he's moved up in the world, has he? Well, maybe it's time for a family reunion at some point. Why don't you take a message back to him for me?
I will gladly carry your message back.
Okay, which call it I step in real close, which call it to start to whisper in his ear or whatever, and he gets a knife up through them real quickly, and he just gets left in the middle of the street. And then I
think that's a pretty good message. Yeah. So we'll take that heat level.
I'm sorry. I really didn't want to start knifing people all the time, but it just seems like the right thing to do.
So there, or are you doing this on your own, or is this part of our
Because I
tour.
think this is part of him gathering the info network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you've left a message, and
Forefather, yes.
and now you have one of the three clans in the city that is most definitely
Oh yeah.
deciding that there needs to be something done with some dispatch.
But I know who they are now.
Ismina, you want to travel around, get a sense of the defenses of the city, do that initial survey. All right. Normally it would be difficulty 2, but you have the book as an asset, so we'll take it down to difficulty 1. And
Okay.
what do you think are the appropriate drives and skills here for you?
Well, it is. I think it's a duty because this was something that she was specifically asked to do that she's carrying out. Unless you think it's yeah, because power is about self-serving and
Yeah, no, I think duty is
just-
perfect.
okay, yeah.
You're pushing yourself to do something that has been asked by the house.
yeah, it's duty, and then I would say understand, but I know on battle it's like when you plan a battle as part of
Yeah,
it.
I think
and
that's
it's
perfect.
logistics. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a 15 or less.
Mhm.
Do you want to spend one of the points of momentum that's in the pool?
Yes, and is that that's adding a d20?
That'll add another d20, so you roll 3 d20.
Yes, I would like to do that. Just to make sure. Okay. Ooh. maybe I shouldn't have and just left in the
So that's 2 successes.
yes.
So that means you'll see that part of the problem is that the shield generator bits, those are valuable things. That's clearly what's been stripped out. Those parts and pieces have been removed. You're not sure if that was done when Cameron left or has been done by the scavengers since then. But with this discover action, you get a question with the initial roll, and then if you want to spend the extra success on another question, you can do that. So what is it you want to know?
And this mission was to figure out the defenses to see if we could build some of our own.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she wants to know how stable it is. It seems like there's a lot of instability. So I think she wants to know, like, can we even like what kind of things can we even build? Is the instability like scavengers, or is it like this grab well / natural stuff?
So the Gravwell represents a threat that is difficult to take into your calculations.
Okay.
But what's more important to you is access points. That means access points into the city and then choke points within the city, and getting control of those. And that's one of the things you do is you map out like what are the 6 key like access points of control, and figuring out those, all of which are occupied, all of which have people buy them. They're kind of crossroads there. And you can definitely get a map of that. Like you would need troops, and you would need to do some engineering to reset things up. Some of the access points are like affixed because they're city entrances, but there might be some other of the crossroads that you could redirect. It is possible. And I think you can get a map in your mind of how you would do that and the number of troops that you would need and all of that kind of thing. What's your other question?
My other question?
Yeah, we've got another momentum you could spend on asking another question. It's open-ended, so.
Yeah. I'm thinking of would it does it can I get more details on like who is already occupying them specifically, or is it
Yes.
like is it the
Yeah,
names of the other
that's
clans?
no, well, and that's the thing is you go around and you're looking and you're checking out, and there will be some insignia and marks that repeat across those areas, which says to you that these are people that also have a sense of how to control the city. And it's definitely one of the clans. And they have set up essentially illicit trade houses and, legit bars and the places where people come to pay their extortion money and that kind of thing at these locations so that they can maintain control over it. Which says to you, A, that this clan is pretty smart, but also suggests to you that maybe there's somebody else pushing them that way. It's not a kind of thing that a clan or a gang would do.
So they're backed by somebody.
It might be
powerful,
spies or one of the smuggler groups or one of the houses. Could be a lot of those things. The clan's name is Haida.
Exciting. I think she kind of hears it and tilts it like, have I heard that name somewhere? Like, okay, and tucks it away. Good to know.
Let's come back to Stall. Stall, did you have like something you wanted to do here, look into in a once around, a person you want to talk to? What do you want to do?
So we've checked out the infrastructure somewhat.
Yeah, the defensive infrastructure.
Oh, what other infrastructure are we supposed to do?
Electrical, sewers,
okay.
food.
I'll do one of those.
Okay.
I'll go on a tour.
Absolutely. So what do you think it is for you to gather info on this kind of thing, surveying the city? Not necessarily your specialty, but
probably duty. A person
Okay.
is a appendage of the house.
And understanding, does that seem appropriate?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So that's a 12 or less on 2d20.
Alrighty. Let's see if they're still with me. A 12 and a 9.
So 2 successes. So we will establish that you have a sense of where the sewers are, how the city's connected up to that geothermal, the sink there, the power plant, what the other important pieces of infrastructure are. So you get one question from the base success, and you've got a momentum if you want to spend that on a follow-up question.
What do these people most need from our house in terms of the infrastructure needs?
Food is the big issue. They are having to scavenge outside. Food is very tight here. If the population grows, it's going to be a real challenge here. If you bring more personnel in, you're definitely going to have to figure out about the food supply. One of the things is that the rabadillos are not edible. They are poisonous.
And they're eating stuff.
And they carry leprosy.
No, they're not leper. I'm going to X-card the lepers, but they are chewing away at wires and things like that. So that's what makes them particularly dangerous. They're not a food source, and they are eating things.
Okay.
Does it seem like a fair answer to that question?
So I have a momentum, or
Yeah, you have a momentum. You can ask another question. You can put it in the pool.
how do we deal with these armadillo or rabbit, whatever they are?
The best way right now, because you can't poison them, and trapping them is material based, is to kill two birds with one stone, and that is to essentially offer bounties, either in money or food stuff for them. Now, you know that there will eventually be repercussions on the ecosystem in the long term, but on the short term, that is a technique that you could use. Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Serafina, do you have something you want to look into? Question you want to ask? Thing you want to do?
Well, I want to start. I want to basically establish a hall of justice.
Okay.
So, and
what do you think that involves? What's step one?
Step one is to set up, basically to set up the is to lay down the law, is to proclaim, these are the these are the laws we care the most about right now, that House Anthea is going to enforce. That House Anthea will grant anyone an amnesty in exchange for useful information for crimes committed prior to prior to now. And to set up the offices to link with Hayden's informants, to do record keeping, to have the requisite guards necessary to
but it feels like step one,
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Step one is convincing the people that you're serious about this.
Correct.
Okay. And certainly you can bring your ally to bear on this. I would consider this a difficult task, which would be like a 4. We'll take that down by 2 because of your ally, down to a 2. But I am going to spend a couple of my threat to take that back up to a difficulty of 4.
Okay.
What do you think is, we've kind of established the network of communication. We've got some of that out there. What do you think is the appropriate drive and skill for persuading people and here that you mean business?
The drive here is duty.
Okay.
Because this is my job, and
right.
I cannot fail. And it's communication, and social awareness, I think.
Okay, absolutely. So 2d10, 4s, you need 4 successes. 14
Yes.
or less is what you can be rolling, and I think your rapport applies as a focus here.
I am spending my determination.
Okay.
And I'm spending the momentum pool down.
All right.
So I'm going to roll 3 d20 and also have 2 successes.
Okay.
And that is 2 for 7 successes.
7 successes. So you're going to have 3 momentum extra. But Mulav's people are out there talking this up. You do the thermal sheets with the proclamations of the law. People are seeing this, and they're seeing. I mean, the Hall of Justice necessarily isn't built, but you establish a place where it's going to be so that people start to gather, like move closer to that area because they feel like there's some security there. What do you want to do with your extra successes?
I want to establish, I want to establish a trait which is a safe zone.
Okay, so two momentum will go into that.
Okay, and then I'll kick 1 back to the momentum pool.
Okay.
So we have started, we have a, we have an area over which the anti-house law extends, and we're going to push the boundary slowly.
Absolutely. We'll get that in place. To answer a couple of questions, stall determination will stay at 1. It always resets to 1, but it doesn't go up if you haven't spent it. I think that we will see the 4 of you kind of gathering back together to have this conversation about where you're at. And I think that in the background, maybe even off screen, we can see the forces gathering. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to take my threat from this time and my threat from next time. And I think we're going to start out with the 4 of you in a slightly perilous position so we can kind of play out what a skirmish conflict looks like. I want to stop here and not like run it up against a half hour because I don't know how long that will take because you can never tell with RPGs. So we're going to kind of frame that up next time and start out with that challenge on the table. Does that seem cool? Okay. So let me give you all a advance thing that you can do this time. You can increase the level of one of your assets that you have from essentially a 0 to a 1, meaning it's better, it's more potent, so on. Alternately, you can mark one of the assets that you've generated this time, kind of temporary, and you can mark it as permanent for you, meaning normally at the end of an adventure, your temporary assets will go away, like the spy network or the ally and stuff, but you can mark it as permanent, which means it will remain throughout. So everybody can pick one of those things, and we'll check in on that at the beginning of next session.
Would the book be considered a temporary asset too?
Yep.
Okay.
You could make that permanent. You could raise it up a degree. It's up to you. And then next time we'll talk about, at the end of next session, we'll either offer you a choice of a new talent or raising one of your skills or drives. I'll get the details on that for next time, just so that we have a little bit of advance through play. Would anybody mind doing a quick stars wishes? You okay with that? Okay. Then I think I'm going to stick with the order that we started today, since that's my usual play. Hayden, put you on the spot right off the bat. We'll start with go around with stars. Is there anything, Harry, that you particularly liked from tonight's session?
Yeah, I like the system. I mean, we generated so many successes, it's not funny, but I think it's going to come back on us here probably pretty soon. But no, I enjoyed it. I think I'm personally still trying to find my rhythm and everything like that. But I think 3 sessions in, it isn't too bad, and everybody's doing a great job all around. I mean, I just like it so far.
Oh, good. And certainly the knifing was a surprise and a delight.
Yeah. Well,
it was good.
Yeah. For my wishes is I'm going to wish that I don't knife anybody next game unless it's absolutely needed. But
well, we are going into a skirmish.
Yeah, I know that's going to make it a challenge.
Also, I think from the point of view of law, that the Haida clan is high on the list of targets.
True.
Yeah.
We got to break any source of law out there that's not ours.
Yep.
You already established your trade as cold-blooded, so you gotta keep acting.
Yeah.
Fraser, stars?
Yeah, it was interesting seeing this session in play and seeing people's talents come into it. I really like how you can spend momentum in this game. I liked, yeah, I think everybody's scenes was very good. I liked Ismina's like fastest gun in the West, except that it's a real gun. Basically, they're like, yeah, no hint of like trying to test them. It's just I gotta go. That was fun. Yeah, everybody had interesting scenes. The system seems to be pretty cool. I know that you're taking a more rules light approach with it, but it seems like it's not like hindering the system at all to do that. So
Yeah, it from my perspective, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that. Yeah. Brandon, stars?
I liked a lot of things. I liked Ismina's frightening off the would-be assassins, and what we learned about that, which we had suspected, but confirmation was terrific. I liked the daggers, the knives. That's you can't fool around with these people. And while Serafina could never do anything like that, she recognizes its necessity. And the starting to get in touch with the people, it's vital. I think the system's working well, and it feels like it's reasonably well adapted to both kind of short-term engagements and also trying to do bigger things. I mean, because we're trying to do a whale of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Much of which, and I think you're doing a great job in like coning it down to a manageable number of details. I can't imagine what setting up a system of law would actually be. I can't imagine what it would be.
We're going to. It'll be fun.
But at least it feels tractable. And as for wishes, I want more character interaction. I feel like we got some, but I feel like a lot of it was lonely struggles, which is not inappropriate, but I love the character interaction.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get maybe the skirmish will allow us to see some of that kind of a different approach to that, and maybe we'll have a chance to flip up and around who is in play for this. Danielle, stars?
Yeah, I think I loved the cantaloupe sprouting a blade midair. I loved that was Hayden's instinct, and how he kind of like set the tone. And I think it's interesting to see everyone's characters kind of the way that they kind of shift and evolve into what they do. So I like that our stealthy person is just knifing everyone, and our like preacher person is like listening and scouting, and then our marshal is the one who's like spreading the gospel of who we are, and then I'm supposed to be the protector. And I'm so glad you let me do this. I was like, I want to scare them off without even doing anything. That's all I want from that move. So that was really exciting to do. And I think seeing how they impact challenges, but I really enjoyed, I liked Stahl's, well, we don't condone violence, we're not opposed to violence. It's not our first tactic, like calming people. And the way Brandon just really deftly used the dice to kind of like, I want to make him an ally, and then I know you have a move to do something, so you can get in here. And then I was like, I don't know what I want to do yet exactly. But so I think that's kind of like a wish is just, I think the system is working good. I think I'm still just sort of figuring out how it plays, and kind of figuring out where to put the points, or to how to set things up a little more mechanically, so that you can kind of zoom in, kind of looking for the spaces. So like looking for the spaces to role play in between, like do I set up kind of this thing and then kind of go in, or like do I need to kind of like set up my own dominoes and knock them over kind of a situation. But I it didn't seem like it got in the way. I appreciate you walking me through or suggesting things if I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So
So
Yeah.
would you say that would qualify as one as wishes is kind of getting a better sense of the scaffolding of the system?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Which
okay.
I think takes time, but yeah, I would love to kind of be able to hit the things lobbed to me by other players.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think I echo the wishes for the for other interacting with other players too. But I had fun, I enjoyed it. So I think everyone is doing a great job.
Harry, anything you want to add? Wishes, things you definitely want to see next time, things you'd like to see more of, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on what Brandon said is more character interaction, and I think Danielle said, yeah, we're still kind of finding our way to how to mix the mechanical in with the role playing. I mean, we just got to get our timing right. Sometimes it's a little bit off, and I think that's mostly from my side on a couple of
No,
things.
no.
But
Oh, no.
yeah, I definitely would like to see more character interaction.
Okay, we had a couple of calls for that. I'm going to really try and keep that in mind for next time. Fraser, I'm going to give you last word. Wishes.
I really like that there's no hit points, so I'm just wondering how damage kind of works. Like, how do we get messed up?
Well,
Hurt me good.
yeah. Basically, there is a track based on an appropriate drive. So let's say it was 7 would be your duty. A 7, then you have 7 hit points. And since a basic attack is going to do 2 plus any bonus for momentum, you can see that you can get taken out pretty quick. We will see that in practice next time.
Yeah, that's my wish, that I want to get messed up.
Okay, get messed up.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, for stars, I love that Hayden's dad showed up. I love the clan Haida
Mhm.
and the Zerat people. So I would love to like tangle with Zerat again and figure that out, which I'm sure will happen. But
Okay.
that's just on my tangle with
We
Zerat.
all want that.
Yes, we'll bring that to bear. Thank you all so much. It was great fun for me to run. We'll start out with that conflict next time. I'm going to stop the recording.